Welcome to Sleeping with Sarah. I'm Sarah Albritton, a narcoleptic comedian, and this is the podcast where I interview people in my bed and we talk about sleep, comedy, and relationships. This week I had comedian Mateen Stewart in my bed. You can catch him upcoming on National Geographic's new TV show Brain Games. You can also catch him on Comedy Dynamics Coming to the Stage. Mateen and I talked about so many different things. We talked about getting up early, going to Detroit, finding humor in death, crazy roommates, 9/11. Yeah, we went there. Talked about theater school. We talked about ghosts, sleep paralysis, and comedy, of course. We had a really great conversation with this guy. Can't wait for you to hear it. If you want to catch more of Mateen, you can find him on Instagram and Twitter at Mateen Stewart. That's Mateen Stewart, Stewart. Sleeping with Sarah is brought to you by Audible.com. Go to audibletrial.com/sleepingwithsarah to get a free audiobook of your choice. This week, I would like to recommend The Misadventures of Awkward Black Girl by Issa Rae. Again, that's audibletrial.com/sleepingwithsarah. If you want to catch me, I'll be performing on December 20th at 9:30 p.m. at the Caravan in Louisville, Kentucky. And if you like the podcast, please rate and review on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Google Play, wherever you get your podcasts. That really helps out. And if you want to keep up with me, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Sarah Albritton. I'm also now on TikTok at Sarah Albritton Comedy. Well, let's get started with the show. Sleeping with Sarah. Welcome to Sleeping with Sarah.
What's up?
I'm here with my guest, Mateen Stewart.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? How'd you sleep last night?
Last night, I slept okay. I didn't sleep as long as I should have, though. Because I always wake up. I wake up every morning at like 6 o'clock. So on the weekends, it's tough for me to not wake up that early.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So
you're like up early every day.
Yeah, I'm up early every day. Get a good start to the day. I work as a behavioralist as well as a comedian. So I have to be with my clients at like 8 o'clock in the morning, which is a struggle some days, but
yeah, I don't meet a lot of comedians that are like morning people. Yeah,
because we have late nights. So like you have to have a late night and then have an early morning.
So are you a napper?
Yes, I am a napper.
Yes.
I'm a napper. Naps are key to my life.
Yeah.
Because I'm usually done in the afternoon about 2:30. Mm-hmm. So I'll get home around 3, have a snack, and then like usually I would nap from 4 to 6. But
that's like a good nap. So then you can go out and
and do whatever I need to do. But I mean, lately I haven't even been able to nap because I've been going to the gym after, and so it's just. Yeah, I'm trying to get to bed earlier when I can.
It's a lot easier, I feel like, here than it was in the Chicago scene because there's, not as many mics or things that go that late,
Yeah, and I mean, it is. And, I really don't do a lot of open mics anymore because, I'm just tired of...
Yeah, or, but the shows, too, they don't go, crazy late.
Yeah, I mean, in Chicago, people hang out unnecessarily late. I go to Chicago at least twice a year, and every time I go, I'm like, why?
Why are you at Cole's till close? Why are you at Cole's till 2 a.m.?
Why is there a 5 o'clock bar? What do you need to do?
Oh, yeah, there are the 4 a.m. bars, and then magically on Saturday nights, the 2 a.m. bars become 3 a.m. bars, and the 4 a.m. bars become 5 a.m. bars. Just for Saturday nights.
Yeah.
And I don't get it, but...
But there's people there. I've never been to Chicago and been to a 4 a.m. bar where there's nobody there. Especially on Saturdays.
Oh, yeah. And, 4 a.m. bars are where, the bad decisions are made. You know? That's, I
was there a couple years ago, and I did the 3 shows at the Laugh Factory, and then I hung out with all the staff members, and we went to... the 2 a.m. bar, which was the 3 a.m. bar on Saturday. And then when that closed, we went right next door to the 5 a.m. bar, and a butt naked dude just came in. Just ran in, butt naked. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was on some kind of drugs.
Yep. So it wasn't a large swath of people on bikes, because that's a naked bike ride that happens.
Yeah,
But
no,
just
one
a naked dude.
naked dude.
What'd they do?
We were shocked, and then the security guards ushered him out. But then he was just walking around outside, just butt naked. Yeah.
Well,
he was on some kind of drugs.
Yeah, probably. Was it cold?
No, it was actually in the summertime.
Okay.
It would have been a lot funnier if it was cold. Chicago gets disgustingly cold.
It does, and now I'm a wimp when it comes to weather.
Yeah, you become Angelino when you move out here. After like 10 months, you hate, because I grew up in Detroit, so like everyone's like, "Oh, you grew up in Detroit?" I'm like, "Yeah, I left because I hate the cold." And now when it's like 60 degrees, I got my heat on. Like, oh, it's so cold.
Yeah, so like Mike Eshak and Paul Aaliyah are also from Detroit, I think.
Yeah, they're from the Detroit area.
Uh-oh, getting called out. Is that kind of like saying, "Oh, I live in Chicago, but they live in Naperville"?
Yeah, but it's not as far. I mean, I think those guys are from Dearborn, so I mean that's closer to some people, because like I've met people from like that say they're from Chicago and they're like from Naperville. Like that's like 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Or Aurora is like 40 minutes away.
See, I lived in Chicago, and people are like, "What part?" I'm like, "Oh, like 2 blocks from Wrigley Field. Like that's where I lived."
Yeah, in Chicago. And I grew up in Detroit proper, and I feel like a lot of times people question my Detroitness because I can complete sentences when I talk, and I feel like Detroit has such a bad rap, but born and raised in Detroit. But I met a lady. She was like, "Yeah, I'm from Detroit." I'm like, "Where are you from in Detroit?" And she goes, "Oh, I'm from Saginaw." I'm like, "That's 2 hours away." And the thing about it, it's easy to tell if people are from Detroit, because if they're our age, like if they're not black, they're probably not from Detroit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because there's no real diversity there. Like
now, is there?
Now there's more, but like when I grew up, I didn't go to school with any diversity. So I went to a private school like my first 8 years, and we had like maybe one white kid the whole time, and it was because a teacher's kid went there. And that was it. And then in high school, we had like one white kid and like a Puerto Rican girl. And that was it. I mean, because it was like 95% black.
That's interesting. So, like, did you have like a one white friend?
No, I did. I had some white friends because in my neighborhood in Detroit, North Roselle Park, was the most diverse neighborhood in Detroit. So those are like still people that were like the white families that didn't leave during the white flight, or
that's what they call it.
Yeah, white flight. Yeah, white flight was when in the 50s and 60s. Like, so all the white people moved out of Detroit. Oh. And then you went through like a black flight where the middle class black people moved out of Detroit. And so when they were going more into the northern suburbs, but my parents were like, "No, we're always going to live in Detroit." But yeah, if you meet like a 30-year-old person and they're not black, they're not from Detroit. They're from the Detroit area.
Gotcha.
I'm too petty about that.
When did you come from Detroit to here?
I moved here 14 years ago. Like
so a while.
Yeah.
So were you doing stand-up in Detroit or no?
No, I didn't start stand-up, so I moved here.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Did you move here to do to be an actor?
I moved here to act because I was I was supposed to move here with two of my friends because they were like weren't doing anything, and they convinced me because I was going to go to New York and I wanted to do Broadway. That was like always my dream.
Do you sing?
A little bit, yeah.
You do Broadway.
Yeah,
have you been in any like musicals?
Yeah, back in the day when I was like a kid in high school and college.
Yeah.
But, no, I'm not like Broadway singer. But I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go to Broadway, do straight plays, work on Law and Order and do all that. And I always wanted to go to New York. I wanted to go to NYU Tisch graduate school. I did not get in after college, so that was kind of like a thing. I was like, I got pretty sad about, but. After like being home for a couple of years, my friends convinced me to move to California. I was like, yeah, let's get this Cali life, because we were always into like the Tupac and like West Coast thing. And I was like, all right, let's do it. And so I was like, we got 2 years. We each need to save $10,000, and we're gonna go. And I was the only one that did it.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and they both stayed.
And they still live there now?
Well, one does, and one passed away, and so that was the thing where it was like, I was like, dude, if you would have fucking come to LA, it wouldn't have happened.
Man.
But yeah, he had a really bad car accident, and then he was like a vegetable for like a year. Yeah, then he just he got tired, but we still don't know what happened. It was a 1-person car accident.
That's sad.
But yeah, it's sad. But the thing about what I love about comedy is like, what I tell people is like, tragedy happens, and so you can't change it. So let's try to find something funny in this situation. And my friend Danny is his name, and I remember I was going to his funeral, and when you have these moments where when someone dies, you get like sad unexpectedly, like you're like, I'm fine, and then like it just hits you like a ton of bricks. So it hit me on this plane, and I'm going back, and I'm just crying on this plane, just crying, like snot and everything. And this lady's like next to me, and she's trying to console me, and she's like asking me what's wrong, and I'm like, yeah, I gotta go home. My friend died. She's like, oh, where's home? And I'm like, oh, I'm from Detroit. And she goes, oh, I'm sorry, your friend got shot. So the comedian me was like, oh my God, thank you, lady. Like, I just started laughing so hard.
Oh, that's so...
Because, like, she just assumed
that your friend got shot.
He got shot because I was going home to Detroit. And so, like, I tell this joke on stage now, and it's just, like, such a moment where I'm like, this is what it is. So I just, it changed me being sad to being like, thank you for being this ignorant lady to assume. But, yeah, and then, I go to his funeral, and his mom's like, telling me how much weight I gained. Like, that was the first thing his mom said to me. The first thing.
Was how much weight?
Yeah, she goes, yeah, you picked up some weight since I seen you last. The first thing she said to me. I was like, really? That's the first thing you're going to say to me? You're just going to shit on me? Yeah. But yeah, so. But yeah, that's how I ended up here. And it was acting. And then I moved out here. And I had met another friend from this play that I'd done, and we were supposed to be roommates. And like a week before I moved out here, she told me that she found another roommate.
The roommate situation here is tough.
Yeah.
Thing is, it's like too expensive to like, if you could only live on your own if you've got like a baller job or something, or like a significant other, and you guys, but still that's living with somebody. But like roommate situations out here are crazy.
Yeah, it's very expensive. And so like, I didn't know anybody moving to LA, and I met this girl in this play, and we hit it off. We became like super cool, and yeah, we were supposed to move out here. She came out here like a few months before me, and she was commuting. She was living all the way in like Fountain Valley.
I don't even know where that is.
Exactly.
So that's so far. Like anything outside the general LA like neighborhoods, like I have only been if I've done shows or something.
Yeah, dude, I've seen all of this area, but like, yeah, I didn't realize how far Fountain Valley was. Because you see like, oh yeah, this is like 25 miles away. That's not that bad. But then like that 25 miles can take you an hour and a half.
I know.
So yeah, so she moved out here, and I was like, yo, what's up? She's like, oh, I'm sorry, I found another roommate. I couldn't not take it. And I was so mad. But she goes, well, you can stay with us until, I talked to her, you can stay with us until you find a place. And so my mother and I drove out here, and in the middle of the summer, and with no air conditioning. And I got here, and I stayed maybe like 6 days, and then the first thing they tell you when you move out here is like, get headshots. So I was like, I need headshots.
That's the first thing you got? Yeah. Before you even got a place, you got headshots. Yeah,
I had to get headshots.
Priorities.
Yeah.
Was this back in the day when you had to print them too?
Yeah. So, I got headshots, and I went and I found a photographer, and she was like, oh yeah, you just moved out here? Because a friend of mine, so I worked at a summer camp, and the owners, their daughter lived out here. So she was like, yeah, a friend of mine is a photographer. She could take your pictures. So I went and met that girl, and like she took some pictures, and then she goes, yeah, well, I had a friend that's looking for a roommate. She's a model. She lives downtown. I think it's like $650. And I was like, I had hella money, so I was like, fuck it, let's do it. So I met with the girl. She was like super desperate to find a roommate. And because I think like someone had screwed her. So yeah, like 6 days in, I found a roommate. I lived like just north of downtown, like Chinatown area.
Nice.
Yeah. Sorry. It wasn't that nice. I slept on an air mattress my first year.
Oh wow!
Because I had no like I was.
That's the thing. Dudes don't like realize that stuff. Like I mean, I had to have like a bed and nice stuff because of the podcast. That's part of it.
Yeah.
You know. Secondly, it's just a thing. It's so strange. It's like, I think a dude has to date a girl for a certain amount of time before he realizes, oh yeah, I should get curtains, or I should like put art up on the wall, or like.
Yeah, and for me, like I had a girlfriend at the time, so like she was, and then we were long distance, so I was like, and she couldn't visit me because she was still in college, so it was like, I had no motivation. I had no furniture. I had nothing. I slept, and it wasn't even a good air mattress. It was a shitty
air mattress.
It's like deflated, inflated everything.
Does the adult in you want to like come back to your former self and like slap it on the face?
Yeah. But when I moved out, it was easy. That was when I moved out. I had no furniture. So
see, I've only moved once. I've moved twice since I moved here. I moved to my first place, and then I moved to this place. But this place, I hope I will stay in for a long time because it's rent controlled.
Yeah, and then they just passed that.
Yeah. That's kind of exciting.
Yeah, rent control is key.
They didn't have it in Chicago. I know some people that definitely got squeezed out of like Wicker Park and Logan Square and like those places by raising it like 200% or something.
Yeah, I was talking to a girl. She was saying that her roommate, her landlord raised her rent $700 last year. Damn, $700. That's a lot.
It is. That's a lot, and that's just like unfair.
I think they went to like from like $2,300 to $3,000.
Yeah, that's insane.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, that's a problem we've got going on right now.
Yeah. Rent is crazy. I'm glad I moved from Chicago. If I had made as much of a leap like Detroit, you know, like if because I lived in Louisville before, so if I had jumped from Louisville to here, I would have been like, that's crazy. But I'm from Kentucky.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So what? Louisville. Louisville. Yeah. The little eastern suburbs of Louisville, I guess. Yeah, but that's where my family still lives. Everybody still lives there except for me.
I'm from Louisville.
Yeah, you say it right. So you've been there.
Yeah, Reggie Wesley. That's my frat brother. He's from Louisville.
Louisville's become a cool town. Like I think what they tried to do was because everyone was moving away from downtown, and they looked at St. Louis and looked at Detroit, and they were like, "Hey, let's make an active way to get people downtown." So over the span of my childhood, basically, they started doing renovations downtown. They created this big waterfront park. They moved the Slugger Field, which is like a AAA minor league team, right in the smack downtown. They had the Muhammad Ali Museum. They did all these things to grow downtown, and now downtown's kind of a cool spot.
There's a comedy club there too, isn't it?
Yeah, the comedy club it keeps changing owners. I think it's Comedy Caravan again. Okay. So they've had like, I'd say like 3
comedy club names are hilarious to me.
Yeah, Comedy Caravan. The
Laugh Shack.
Yeah, the Chuckle Hut.
The Chuckle Hut.
What's the weirdest one you've played at?
Oh man, I'm trying to think. Like Laugh Inc., but Laugh was spelled wrong. That's closed.
Wisecrackers.
Yeah, there's a Wisecrackers. Where's that
at? They're kind of all over. I did one in like Maryville, Indiana. Is the one I would go to.
There was a Morty's.
Yep. That's like in Cincinnati or Indianapolis?
Yeah, it's changed now. It's a Helium now.
Oh.
Yeah.
So, now it's all getting all corporate. Yeah. So now all the indie clubs with the cheesy names are getting all corporate bought out.
It's a Helium now. I talked to the guy last night about that because he I forget his name, but he had owned Morty's, and then he sold it to Helium.
But what else would you call a comedy club? Like, it's really.
Yeah, I guess I'm doing the new club in Seattle. I think it's called Comedy Club of Seattle.
Okay. I mean, San Diego's got the American Comedy Club.
They got the American. They got the Comedy Palace. At the Madhouse in San Diego.
Yeah. It's just all,
What would you name your comedy club? That's a good.
See, the improv still drives me nuts a little bit because nobody does improv there.
No.
And so that's like why it's very strange.
But did they had to at one point.
No, I don't really think so. I don't know. I'm not an expert on the improv history. I'll have to check, but I think it's mostly been like stand up. Okay. But I mean, Yeah, so that's the only...
The Comedy Store, that's a good name.
Yeah, I found out that they did not copyright it internationally, which is why there's Comedy Stores in London and in, I think, New Zealand or Australia or something.
Yeah.
And so they're not affiliated exactly.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I just thought that
they owned them. Yeah. No, I know. I found that out. And I was like, they just did not copyright their shit. And
people took over.
And people are capitalizing on the brand that they built in
because
other...
They come and they just... Yeah, I mean, I think about that too when you produce a show. Like, what am I going to call the show?
It's so hard also to come up with a name that hasn't been done. Like, when I first moved here, we were going to run a show at a place that had free parking. So I was like, oh, we'll call it Free Parking Comedy Show. And there was already a show in LA called Free Parking.
At the garage.
It's so nuts to, like, especially in LA when there are so many shows. And they're so spread out. Like, it's all these little cities.
Yeah. And then they'll be like, oh, well, this one's only monthly. This one's bi-weekly. This one's... Yeah, so when we came up with Loose Change, we were trying to figure out a name. And, there actually was a show already called Loose Change. But it doesn't happen anymore. So we were like, all right, we can do that. And then I used to run a show where comics would come and talk about their first time doing stand-up comedy. And so for the longest time, we called it The Vault.
The Vault? Oh.
Yeah, that's what we called it. And then, like, it went from The Vault to First Timers Club.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but then that dissipated.
The Vault makes me think of the Disney Vault, which I think is one of the smartest marketing things they've ever done, because they basically take all the offensive and, like, very racist stuff that Disney did and, like, keeps it in the vault and it never comes out. Oh. Like, so they have the whole... And the thing is that they bring out the ones and they make it, like, limited time and bullshit.
I didn't know that.
So that's the whole thing. It's like, oh, like, Lion King is a cartoon. The cartoon's only available for, like, these 3 months, and then it's going back in the vault and you can't buy it on DVD anymore.
Disney is so...
It's so weird.
Disney is... They rule the world. They're the evil empire.
And now they they own...
Fox.
They own Marvel. They own Lucas Films.
ABC.
Fox. Yeah, you're technically not supposed to own 2 news stations, right? Like, what's the deal with that? Like, they own everything but Fox News?
Yeah, I don't think they own Fox News, but they own Fox. They just bought Fox. The Simpsons predicted that, too.
The Simpsons, I think there's, like, something where, like, it shows, like, The Simpsons predicts all this stuff, and, like...
My art imitates life.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not a big Disney person. Are you a Disney person?
No, I'm a Marvel person. Oh, okay. I like Marvel a lot.
Who's your favorite superhero?
Ooh, that's... I mean, in this MCU, I mean, that's really hard.
Who would you be?
Oh, who would I be? I mean, I really liked... I did like Black Widow a lot. I like her. I'm really fascinated. I'm looking forward to the prequels. Although I also really I loved all the Guardians, too.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
I thought that I really loved how they brought humor. That's what I loved. I loved that with that, I feel like with that first Guardians movie, that changed the vibe of because it used to be cheesy one-liners and stuff. And I feel like after that, they're like, no, we can have actual comedy within this very real action film. Yeah. Because that also reminds me of one of my favorite films, which is Shaun of the Dead, which is like, it was a comedy parody, but it was like the CGI and the blood and everything was real. So it was like horror mixed with comedy. And I love that mixing genre without making it cheesy as it had been for decades.
Like, hello, I'm Superman. I am here to save the day.
Yeah.
I was into comic books only because people that I was around because I was like a poser into comic books. I was never really into comic books. Like, I was like, oh yeah, you guys love comic books. Let's go buy comic books. Like, I didn't read a comic book. Like, I really liked this guy. It was Mosaic, I think his name was, and he was the Black Green Lantern. And then like, I was into He-Man when I was a kid. But never like, I mean, Batman was cool. I always liked Batman because I was like, oh, he's human.
Yeah.
They could die.
Well, and also anybody could be Batman. You don't, it's not.
You just have to be rich.
Yeah, you just have to be rich.
And billions and billions of dollars and just never get over your parents' death. Like, come on, can we just like get over it?
Therapy, right?
Like, I hope they don't do that in the next Batman movie. Like, there's been so many Batman movies. Like, we don't need to start off with the death. Just go right into the action.
Well, that's what I liked about Spider-Man Homecoming.
Yeah.
We've already seen the origin story so many times.
Yeah.
It jumped to 6 months after he had gotten his powers.
Yeah.
And I think that was great.
Yeah.
You know?
We know what happened.
And Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which I think is definitely the best Spider-Man movie.
It was my favorite.
And that's the one that actually made me want to read comics. So I started reading Spider-Gwen because I have it for free if you're a library member. You can like read it digitally. And I started, because I didn't really read comics either. I remember in second grade I had a crush on a guy named Jason, and we read comic books together during recess.
Do you know where Jason is right now?
I have no idea.
What's his last name? You don't know.
I don't remember. I remember his name was Jason, and I think he had a real cute haircut or something that was probably, I don't know. I just don't remember.
Okay. Well, continue.
But yeah, do you remember your first crush?
I think so. Yeah. I still talk to her though.
Yeah?
We're still friends. She to this day was like, no, we never. I was like, yes. You were like, hey, you want to be my boyfriend? I was like, yeah. We're like in first grade, second grade, but to this day she doesn't. She always says no.
Yeah.
Daphna Pukram is her name.
Now my first crush was Samuel. Oh, I'm friends with him on Facebook, so I could look it up. But Samuel, I used to remember his last name, and now I can't. Man, my memory's getting bad. And he was my first crush in like kindergarten or something.
Kindergarten.
Yeah. Yeah, I got calls home from chasing after boys and trying to kiss them in kindergarten.
At least you knew. And this is the thing I tell people when everyone's like, you know, you're not born certain ways. I'm like, dude, when I saw my dad used to have this poster in the basement, and it was Tina Turner. Mm-hmm. And I remember when I saw that, I was like, I like that. Like, you know, like, yeah.
But to be fair, I say I'm mostly like dudes. I am still bisexual, but I didn't find that out till later.
Yeah.
Because there were some girls I just really, like, I joined Lit Club to be around this girl named Blakesley who I had a crush on in high school, but I didn't know it was a crush. I was she's just so fun to be around, and she makes me feel good when I'm around her, and I like this, being around this person. And it wasn't until, like, a little bit after college when I realized that I was bi, I was like, oh, that's what that was. And I didn't realize it.
You wanted to crush her.
Yeah. And I'm friends with her on Facebook still.
And now she knows.
Oh, yes. If she listens to the podcast. Now she's like super smart. She is like I think she's got a doctorate or a master's or getting her doctorate. She's like studied like microbiology, and like she's like a genius.
That hurts my feelings.
What?
It's just because science. I just want to be a doctor.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. I had aspirations of being a doctor.
That's a job I could not do. I can't handle blood.
Oh, you don't like blood?
Yeah.
Oh.
Like, I mean, if it's fake, and I know it's fake, I can convince myself to, like, watch it, but I still have to look away at certain parts of shows if it's too bloody.
Yeah, I went down a weird wormhole this week with 9/11 being this week, and I looked at a bunch of photos that I shouldn't have looked at, but yeah, it was a thing where I was like, oh, I'm gonna have nightmares about this, and I watched a bunch of documentaries. I'm really into 9/11. Like,
are you a conspiracy theorist?
I don't think I'm a conspiracy theorist. I think I'm just knowledgeable of things.
Okay.
And I feel like there's a lot of unanswered questions, and there's a lot of answered questions that we don't know have already been answered about it. I just, that day, just, you know, it's one of those things like you remember exactly where you were, exactly what happened. But
I was in class.
You were in class?
Yeah.
Like in middle school?
Yeah. And we had TVs. They pulled out TVs for us to watch.
Oh, okay.
And they were just like, hey, it was an announcement, or they're just like, hey, we gotta, you know, like something's going on, like turn on your TVs.
And you guys turned it on?
Yeah.
Because you guys were on Central Time.
Eastern.
Eastern time.
Eastern time.
So you were there. Oh, so yeah, okay.
It was math class.
Oh, math class.
Yes, it was math class.
Tuesday.
Yes.
Math class.
Mm-hmm. That's what it was. And it was, it was like a lot. And then afterwards, like, and our school wasn't like religious, even though it was a private school, it wasn't religious. You know, there was like prayer circle and stuff after school, which like never happened. That stuff like never happened, but that was like a thing that people did.
You guys did?
Yeah. It was, where were you?
I was in college. I'm a lot older than I look, and I woke up in the morning. So Tuesdays and Thursdays, I had body and movement class. I was a theater major.
Ah, me too.
And so Tuesdays and Thursdays, I had body and movement class. It was taught by Mr. Wells. And Mr. Wells was our teacher and our, like, professor and our, like, assistant head of theater. And he hated when you were late. The whole thing is, like...
My theater school... There were, like, our movement classes and that kind of shit. Like, if you were late, you weren't admitted into class, and you would count as an absent. And, like, if you had more than 2 absences, you get an F.
Yeah. Did they tell you the thing, like, to be early is to be on time? To be 5 minutes late?
Yeah, to be at 5 minutes early is to be on time. To be on time is late.
Yeah. And to be late is a piece of shit.
Unacceptable.
No. And they can't use excuses because they're meaningless tools of incompetence that build bridges to nowhere. And those that use them seldom amount to anything. That is what we had to say, like, all the time.
Oh, wow.
So I woke up and I knew I was late. Mm-hmm. And so when I woke up, I'm scrambling because I knew I was late. And so I'm eating, like, a big bowl of Lucky Charms. Like, I was in college, so I ate like a mixing bowl. Like, just big mixing bowls. I'm eating. I'm running late. I'm running late. So I turn on and I see it. Right. I see that the plane had crashed, and so I don't know if you remember, there had already been a plane that crashed into the World Trade Center.
Oh,
previous,
yeah.
But it was
in the 90s, right?
It was before that. Yeah, like had to be in the 90s, like 98, 99, and so like I just thought like, oh yeah, it was a little like crop duster or whatever plane that flew into it. But then I'm watching and I was like, oh well, I'm gonna be late, so I can just say I'm late because of this, right? Mm-hmm. And so
you used 9/11 as an excuse
because I didn't know what it was. I didn't know at the time. I didn't know what it was. I just thought it was a plane. I was like, oh yeah, well I can just say that there was a plane. And then the second plane hit, and I was like, he's never going to believe that 2 planes hit. Like, he's never going to believe it. So when I went to thing, I only said about 1 plane because I didn't think that he would believe that 2 planes hit. And so...
Wait, so you went into class?
Yes, I knew. But I was so afraid of Mr. Wells that about
the wrath of him?
Yes, that I didn't say that because I didn't think that he would believe me. Like, I was like, no one's going to believe me. Because, like, back in the day...
Because you didn't have TVs or anything in the...
Well, everyone was in class. Oh. So, like, there was no cell phone. Like, there was no, like... Yeah, there was no instant access to stuff. So, unless you knew, you didn't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, no one knew.
So, you told everybody.
Yeah. So, when I came into class late, he was like, why are you late? And I was like, oh, well, I was watching news because a plane flew into the World Trade Center. He goes, a plane flew into the World Trade Center? I was like, yeah. But I didn't come in with the excitement of the situation. Like I didn't come in like
if you were acting the scene, you didn't come in.
No, I didn't come in like, oh my god, a plane flew. Like I just came in because I was like, I don't want him to think that I was like 20 years old,
and also you didn't know the severity. You just thought it hit it. You didn't think it would.
Yeah. And so then we were just going through class and doing our class.
So wait, you just went on with class? Nobody decided let's...
And then the dean came running down into the theater and was like, hey, everyone has to go home. And everyone's like, why do we have to go home? He goes, because 2 planes hit the World Trade Center. And everyone looked at me and they're like, you didn't say 2 planes hit the World Trade Center. I was like, And then they're like, yeah, the president just called a national state of emergency. Everyone needs to go home. And then he goes, you didn't say so. He starts beating me.
Beating you?
Yes.
This is back when they could beat you?
Yeah, he took his hat off and he was like, you didn't say 2 planes. And I was like, yeah.
Yeah, he didn't think he'd believe you. That's
I didn't think, yeah. I was so afraid of Mr. Wells.
Wow.
Yeah. But we had some crazy things happen at my school. Like my freshman year, we had a bomb go off on campus.
Oh, what?
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
Yeah, a white supremacist was our vending machine guy, and he set off a bomb.
What?
In one of our buildings, and it malfunctioned, but it was still a bomb.
That's scary.
Yeah, and I was in the building too, which is like
that's very scary.
Yeah, and it just because we heard a loud noise. And it just felt like someone was above you, and it felt like bookshelves just kept falling. That's what it felt like. And then later on, I was like, yeah, it's a bomb.
I'm very fortunate. I have not been in a situation close to that. Although one time I was flying with my mom when I was pretty little, and in line, the guy before us, before he went through security, he like a gun fell out of his pocket or something.
Oh,
this
wow.
is like before 9/11.
Okay.
And I remember seeing that, and I was like, "What's going on?" You know, and that's when I learned what a hijacker was.
Oh wow!
Because I don't know if they thought he was going to, but like they took him in or whatever.
Wow.
Yeah. Like, vocab word when you're 7 this is what a
hijacker. I was always afraid of hijackers. I was just in South Portland, staying, and the hotel that we stayed at is the hotel that the guy stayed at before they flew to Boston.
Oh.
Yeah. And so, our Uber driver was like,
Man, I'm surprised that they still, they didn't change their name or like.
Nope, it's Comfort Inn, South Portland.
Wow.
Like, we ate at the IHOP that he ate at.
Wait, were you doing
I didn't know. No, because it was right there. Like,
yeah, it's just convenient.
Yeah, and then so like they don't really advertise it, but the Uber driver was like, yeah, this is the hijack hotel. This is the hotel those guys stayed at before they flew. So they came in on September 10th, got there like 5:47, checked in, stayed the night, flew to Boston that morning from Portland.
Wow.
Yeah, Comfort Inn. And they close off the room, so you can't stay in that room. They won't tell anybody what room it is. They just don't give you the room, which is crazy to me. I always think about that. Do you ever think about that in like hotel rooms? Like, have someone ever died in here?
I don't think about the death thing. I'm just thinking like, probably like, how many people have had sex in here? Probably so much. Like I'm just like
so many people,
you know. And like, especially if they got like mirrors or something. Like that's something I like about my place. I mean, this is obviously fun for other reasons, but you know, if it's like a hotel that has like a lot of mirrors in them, I'm like, okay, obviously. I don't really think about the death thing though. No, because I guess they don't have to disclose that.
No, they don't. Even when you buy a house,
they don't have to disclose.
Well, I live in California 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
If it's natural causes, if it's a murder, 7 years.
They just goes it only 7 years after.
Yeah.
But after that.
Nope.
What?
Nope.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Do they have to disclose it if it's supposedly haunted?
No, haunted.
People don't believe enough in that.
I mean, I think there's no real facts about that. But I live in a house where the guy died in the house, and he had a heart attack at his computer.
Okay.
And then, so they had to disclose that. But then after we got it and we moved all in, then our realtor was like, oh yeah, his mom died here too. But they didn't have to disclose that because she died 9 years ago in the same house.
So you don't know if she was murdered or not? Because it could have been 7 years.
Yeah.
By the amount of time, you don't know how she died.
Yeah, he killed her. Like, some Norman Bates stuff. But no, he died, and then the family found him because they came over for Independence Day, and they found him.
I gotta show you this place that's like next door to mine. So I was walking by, and I was like, because my friend just found a house that she's gonna rent, and she and her husband, and it's so awesome because it's in Hollywood, actual house, like, you know, you're not sharing walls with anybody. Mm-hmm. And we were walking by this place right next to mine, and it looks like nobody's there. I was like, I wonder if that's like a foreclosed place or whatever. And I see the cars, like, looks all dusty. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to check the back of the registration, mm-hmm. see, like, the last time this car's been driven. And it was 2000. Oh,
wow.
Like, before 9/11, that car had not been driven.
Oh,
and
wow.
I was like, like, nobody just like been over? Like, maybe there's, I don't know, like, what's going on? If nobody checked on that person, if they just like left it there, if the house is available, like, it's shitty, it needs to be redone, but you might be able to get a good deal on it, you know, like that. Yeah, is that awful?
If people die, you get like, my roommate is into real estate, and you know, she was looking at a house, and a house came on the market, and like, yeah, it was a triple homicide here, so it's really cheap. Yeah.
Whoa. Yeah. I mean, like, you gotta, I don't know, like, I would not have said this a year and a half ago, but, you know, I'd probably hire someone to clear the energy of that fucking space before.
Yeah, we have some weird things happening in our house.
Now?
Yeah, still to this day we have Yeah.
So what weird stuff is happening in your house?
Like we have like things disappear. Like I lost like my glasses. I had a pair of
sure
glasses.
this wasn't from your parties?
No. Like this is honest to God truth. Like I'm not even a ghost person, but like recently, like our pool guy has been complaining that our filter is being reset, and so I'm not touching it. My housemate hasn't touched it, and like our pool is just the filter is just being reset, and so it had been a few days where like we'll come home and it's just murky. And he goes, "You guys got to stop touching the filter." I'm like, "No." He goes, "Well, it only happens if someone touches it," and so we're not touching it. So that happened. The freezer settings always go up and down.
Oh.
And then I lost my glasses. And so I couldn't I went to bed with my glasses. I woke up, couldn't find them. Just couldn't, and I haven't found them.
Still? You had to get new ones.
Yeah, for like 3 years, I haven't found the glasses. It's just weird things have happened, and we did this TV show where they renovated our house, and we had people over like shooting, and we were in the master bedroom, and we were like talking smack or whatever, and then the sound guy's like, yo, your mic just went off, and I'm like, okay. So he looked in the thing, and he thought like the battery had died, but the mic had been clicked off, like it had been clicked off. And I was like, whoa.
Were you like, oh, some ghosts don't want to be filmed?
Yeah, like I was like, whoa. Like it'd be moments where like shit would fall down. And, like,
have you ever like tried to clear, like do white sage or some shit?
We did that.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, my housemate's mom came over.
Do you believe that?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like energy is constant. And like, there's been moments where like I've been asleep and like, I don't know if you ever had this thing where like you're sleeping and like you feel like something else is in the room. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And like, I think it's like sleep paralysis.
Yeah,
like,
I have a lot of that.
Yeah, like you just can't move, and you're like, oh my God, I can't move. And there's been moments where like I felt that way, and I felt like it's like somebody.
Yeah, a lot of times that is a typical sleep paralysis thing, though. So that's mixed with sometimes it can be mixed with a hallucination. It's called hypnagogic or hypnopompic hallucinations. All part of, it's very common for narcoleptics, and other people usually experience it a few times in their lives. But it's very common for there to be like either a figure in the corner of the room, somebody trying to come on, somebody trying to push on your chest.
Yeah.
Mine very often, especially in high school, was a huge spider crawling on my leg, and I wouldn't be able to scream or move because I'm terrified of spiders.
Your brain is a trippy thing, man.
It is, and it's so weird because I really question, like, sometimes I had to question my reality, you know, a lot. And it's weird. Yeah.
And for me, I'm always so scared because I am so blind. And, like, if I don't have access to my lenses or my glasses, like, if someone broke into my house and I didn't have my contact lenses in or my glasses on, I wouldn't be able to do nothing.
You're that blind?
Yeah, I'm pretty blind.
Like, are you legally blind?
Not legally blind. No. But I couldn't drive home. And that's another thing. It was so funny because my roommate was like, you had your glasses last night. You were just drunk. And it's so bad. I go, I know I was drunk, but I know I had my glasses because I needed them to drive home. Don't drink and drive. It is bad. Don't drink and drive. Use Uber.
Yeah, man, it's kind of scary thinking about living here before Uber. Like in Chicago, at least, like there's trains. You were able to get cabs, but like to live in LA,
a cab
before Uber,
you call a cab? It cost you $1,000.
Yeah,
yeah, we did. It's so funny. We were talking about this the other day. Like, what did we do before Uber? Like, we probably drove drunk a lot. We drove drunk a lot. But.
And the thing is that Uber isn't even making money. They're losing $1.25 for every dollar they make.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they're like a negative company. And that still blows my mind that all these...
Have they gone public?
Yeah, they went public a while ago. Wow. But they're like, definitely, you know.
So how do they make money?
They don't. That's the thing. Like, all these big tech companies, they're not actually making money, but they have to stay cheap to compete with pricing. And, like, it's insane.
So every dollar they make, they lose $1.25.
Yeah.
So they're losing 25 cents.
Every time.
Every time.
So actually, if you don't like Uber, if you want them to lose money, use Uber more. And they...
It is.
No, it is. It's kind of insane, and I read about that. Like they lost like $5 billion last quarter or something like that.
Billion?
No, $5 million. Wait, no, it was a lot. It might have been billion. I think it was $5 billion. I don't think I'm misquoting that. I can look that up.
Damn.
Yeah. Wait, hold on.
Money is crazy.
Yeah, and it's like. Hold on, I'm gonna look it up. But it's like that shit's nuts. Like how much money something's worth. Like the ideas, like they value ideas so much they'll just give a lot of money towards this idea, and then it's actually put into practice. They're like, oh, it's not worth that much.
Well, my friend was telling me he was like, most tech companies start so they can sell it. They can sell. Like the guy that created Instagram, he was a billionaire within 11 months.
Yeah, they lost $5.2 billion in the second quarter of 2019.
Uber. Lyft too? Is Lyft?
Lyft is losing too, I think, because they're competing with each other, so they're both trying to be the cheapest.
God. And then they have other ones like Via.
Yeah, and then the overseas they have ones that are like really dependable overseas that are bigger than like Uber overseas. So like.
See, they don't have Uber. I was in Tokyo. They don't have Uber in Tokyo.
Basically, don't invest in Uber or Lyft. No. Oh, sorry, I didn't interrupt. What were you saying about your friend?
No, they... which one?
The friend you said you had a friend that was investing or something, or?
Oh no, he said about tech companies.
Yeah.
They create so they can sell. Mm-hmm. That's why Instagram, WhatsApp, all those guys were billionaires within like months of creating it. But in China, like it's one app that does everything. It's WeChat. You can get paid. You can order cars. You can.
That's kind of scary, though.
Yeah, it's China's like,
and everything in China is kind of scary. Yeah, like I saved a couple newspapers from when I went, just because.
Where were you in China?
I went to Beijing.
Okay.
I went on a trip, and then I went to Cambodia and Vietnam.
Okay.
So.
I see it up there.
Yeah, China, Cambodia, Vietnam. Just like needed to get out of the country. I had a friend that was teaching English abroad in Vietnam, and so. Is it
Hanoi?
No, it wasn't Hanoi. It was Da Nang.
Okay.
But we did go to Hoi An, which is like a 30-minute scooter ride. Everyone has scooters there.
Did you eat pho there?
Yes. Yes, I did. And everything was so cheap. Oh my God. You could have like a nice like steak dinner with like the grill that on your table and all that for like $3 American. And you know what the money currency is there? It's dong.
Dong.
Yeah. So like $60 American is like 1 million dong.
So you're a millionaire. Like I got $1 million dong. Yeah, dong. I'm going to Shanghai in November.
Oh, for what?
To visit, and then they have a comedy club there that I'll be doing. The Comedy Bunker in Shanghai.
Interesting.
But yeah, when I was in Japan, Japan's money is pretty comparable to the American dollar. So, but I mean, there were certain things that was super cheap. Like you can get a pint of whiskey for like $3. But it's like the cheapest whiskey. But like most of our meals, so 1,000 yen is $10 American. Mm-hmm. So most of our meals were like, 9,000 yen or something like that.
Yeah,
but,
that's not bad.
Tokyo was great. I love Tokyo. So clean. And then I was in Hong Kong, and it was like the big difference from like Japan. I was like, to go to Hong Kong. It's like super dirty and like. Yeah,
Beijing, I had a headache almost every day.
From the air?
Because the air, air pollution. Only time I really felt like the sky was clean was when I went to the Great Wall. Okay. The day I went there. But it was, I had a headache almost every single day.
Shanghai's air quality is so bad, too.
Yeah.
I'm not looking forward to that.
Yeah, I'm really glad when you first moved to LA, was there smog?
Yeah, there was smog here. I just remember learning about the LA smog from Captain Planet. But it's still smog. It's not as but I don't notice it anymore.
Ah. Yeah, well, I just always thought that there'd be like a lot, and then when I came here I was like, oh, there isn't any anymore because they try to clean shit up, you know.
It's not as much now, but like when you go to when you used to go to Runyon Canyon and you look downtown, and it's just like this layer of just thick, just dirtiness. Yeah. You see that in Mexico City when I was there. You see that too because their air quality is bad, but also they're 8,000 feet up in the sky. So like you can't breathe because of the altitude, and you also can't breathe because of the small.
Yeah.
There's like no regulations in Mexico City.
Yeah.
And there's like 12,000 people there. 12 million people.
And I think they're trying to fight to keep the regulations here in the state of California because Trump's just like, America, do whatever you want. Like, we're taking... It's so annoying. And it's like, dude, like listen to scientists. Like, don't... And he tried to basically... His people try to tell the weather people not to contradict the president. That's something that happens in countries like China and not, like, here. And it's like... I don't know.
2020.
Yeah.
Here it comes.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
I saw an article today. It was like, yeah, which one of these guys is about to lose? That was the headline after
the debate.
Yeah. America's losers. I don't know. Politics has always been pretty weird for me. I really lost faith in politics in 2000 because when all that stuff happened, I was in Tallahassee, Florida. So like I experienced like, you know, all the... I learned
about that in college, and I didn't really realize, because you don't pay attention to that until you're old enough to vote, you know? And so I didn't pay attention to that until, like, college. We were talking about that, and I was like, oh, like, that's pretty recent. And I was like, I couldn't, you know? Mm-hmm. And also this whole thing now it's great that they finally, like, allow the thing, like felons in Florida can vote, but now they're making all these barriers that you have to, like, go by in order to do that. Like, they have to pay off their debt or whatever for their bail and, like, their other stuff before they can...
I think they've done something like that before. Maybe, like, the grandfather clause or something.
Yeah, and the what?
The grandfather clause and all these hoops and, like, the voter tax that they had to go through. I mean, America is just, like... It has a history of voter suppression and, like, trying to dictate who can vote and like, states.
It's hard.
1965 is when, like, a lot of black people got the right to vote. Like, could vote. Like, black women couldn't vote until 1965. Oh. Yeah. Because even though black men were able to vote before that, but it was still state.
State by state?
Yeah, it was still state by state. So there was a voter's tax that you had to pay. So you had to pay a tax to be able to vote. And then, it's
supposed to be a right.
Exactly. I know. That's what everyone's like, oh, this shit was so many years. Like, no, 1965.
Yeah.
My parents were alive. I tell people.
Well, there's some things that aren't, that you know, still happen. Like, for example, it was like, just like, for example, a woman couldn't get her own credit card, open her own credit card account until the 70s. Until like the late 70s. Yeah. Like, unless she had a husband, she wasn't, like, that shit that's not that long ago.
Yeah. I remember that episode of the Flintstones.
What?
When when Wilma and Betty got the credit cards. They're like, charge it!
Oh, was that
You remember that episode?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
Man, but I think
they got credit cards.
I think that the Flintstones was the first, like, show to show them, like, in one bed together.
Yeah, were they in one bed
Maybe,
together?
Yeah. Because I remember that was a big controvery. Like, they would always show, like, double twin beds or something like that.
Yeah, always Ozzie and Harriet.
And you're like, come on.
I Love Lucy.
Yeah.
They had twin beds. But as a kid, I was always cognizant of things and you know, the Flintstones would come on and the Jetsons would come on. And I would always ask my mom, like, oh, so they had no black people in the past and no black people in the future. Like that.
Oh, shit.
There was never black people in the Flintstones. There was never black people in the Jetsons.
I didn't realize that.
Never. Yeah, this is like, it's like, it's so crazy to see. But that means it goes back to, like,
that's why I like Doug, honestly.
Because everyone was different
colors. Yeah, like his best friend was, like, teal, you know?
But did they have black people? No, just... Doug was good. I like Doug. What's some other shows? Nickelodeon, those, like, Salute Your Shorts.
I liked a lot of those, yeah.
Hey Dude. Wild and Crazy Kids.
Wild and Crazy Kids, yeah. I have a joke where I was like, I think that they should bring, like, those games back, but, like, drunk adults. Like, wouldn't that be fun? Comedians, like, replaying, like, if we all, like, played kickball or some, like, crazy shit, we just, like, get high and, like, play, you know.
Double Dare.
Yeah.
They brought this back. Double Dare's back.
I got slimed as a kid.
Really?
At the Orlando.
Okay.
I was a very energetic kid, jumping up and down, raising my hand, and they picked me.
Did you say the word? Was it a secret word you had to say or something?
No, it was like the audience tour or whatever of the studio. And so I had to put on one of those red jumpsuits and, like, sit in a baby pool, and then they poured green slime on me. And
that was, like, the highlight of your
Oh, yeah. And then they gave me a certificate. I think I still have it at my parents' house. It's, like, Nickelodeon Kid for Life.
I used to love Nickelodeon so much.
And I wanted to be on all that when I was a kid.
All that.
And now I know people that are working on it, so that's kind of cool. Like, I know someone that's the acting coach, and I know someone who wrote on it.
That's the crazy thing about when you live here and you see people progress in the business, and it's so surreal to me because even that girl that I live with, I ended up living with my roommate, another one, the girl that I was supposed to live with initially, move out here, Simone. We ended up the next year, her roommate moved out, and she's like, "Oh, can you come move in?"
Yeah. Oh, she pulled that.
Yeah, so I was like, I moved in with her, and we lived together for like.
You're like, I got an air mattress. Go take me 2 seconds to move.
I got a real bed then. But yeah, now and like she was on Luke Cage, and now she has her own show on CBS called All Rise, and I see her billboards everywhere, and it's so surreal. Like it's so surreal. So yeah, watch All Rise on CBS.
See, the way I look at it, I see it as, oh, this is reachable.
Yeah.
That's the way I look. I was like, oh, it's like pretty reachable, you know?
Yeah,
like,
your phone, you're like, oh yeah, these famous people are on my phone now.
Yeah.
I remember when they were like sleeping on an air mattress like me.
Yeah, that is crazy though. Yeah, it's
billboards. People that don't have billboards, which is like, you'd never think like in a million years, like, oh yeah.
And billboards out here are expensive. That's a whole industry out here.
And she made it to Times Square. That was like a big thing for her, and I'm very proud of her and her success. And yeah, it's the LA lifestyle. Yeah, it's why we chose to be here.
Well, and your girlfriend's pretty successful. She's a
she's doing pretty well for herself. I'm very proud of her as well.
I just want to also say that I love how supportive you are, and like how much you like how proud you are, and like your positive. You know, I just love how supportive you are with that.
Yeah, my thing is, I've been in situations where my partner hasn't been always supportive of me, so. Of me doing like comedy and doing all this thing, and she's very supportive in that. So my thing is, I was like, I'm gonna support you in this because this was never something that she always aspired to do. It just kind of like just happened and fell into her lap, and then like she was like, oh wow, I can do this, and then she was able to do it and succeed. But yeah, I'm very proud of her. She's done so much this year. And I think she accomplished all of her like 2019 goals
already.
Yeah,
Shit,
yeah,
good.
like by like May. And I was like, this is great. So she's like traveling and things, and she's getting used to this, and like getting used to like a lot of the notoriety and a lot of the like, because it's just very new. And so I always tease her. I'm like, listen. Just listen to me. I've been preparing to be famous since I was 6 years old. So yeah. So we're very supportive of each other, and I try to help her out when it comes to certain things that she's not like
the game you gotta play.
Yeah. Like you don't have to always like everybody, and everyone's not gonna always like you, and you can't let them see you sweat. And, and all that, but yeah, I'm super proud of her, and it's been a good year, been a really good year for both of us. And I was telling you before, it's like I think a lot of times in this business we try to we watch our peers, and we try to say like it's always what I don't have. I think people in general are always about like what we don't have, but I think a lot more times you need to be like, oh, this is what I have.
Yeah.
You know, and this is what I've done. And this is the things that, I've done. I've done some pretty cool stuff this year.
You're traveling to far, you're traveling all the way to Shanghai
to do some comedy.
To do stand-up comedy in English,
And, and this year's been good to me. I did Comedy Dynamics Coming to Stage. I worked on this really cool show called Brain Games. Look out for Brain Games.
What is that, like a nerd show?
It's a show that, it's like a nerd show.
No, I mean, I'm a nerd, so I take that as a compliment.
No. It's like what it does is it compares your brain to certain things. So, like, they do, like, men versus women's brains, and kids' brains versus adult brains. Because there's differences. There was an episode on music, like how our brains react to music. There was an episode on persuasion.
That's cool.
There's an episode on attraction, like why are we attracted to who we're attracted to. And so they would bring in a celebrity guest, and the celebrity guest would go through all these, like, different tests. And they had, like, segments where we would put it into practice in, like, real life situations. Like, women are more attracted to men who have a guitar. Like, that's just not even if you see a case, if a man has a guitar case, he's more attractive than if he didn't have a guitar case.
Okay, yeah. If a man has a bookshelf with books, that's more attractive for me. Yeah. I mean, it depends on what those books are. Some of them. But.
How to Kill Women. Oh, you have a lot of books.
Yeah, no, I mean, exactly.
I see you have your books color coded.
I do, yeah. I do. Because that's how I visually remember them that way.
A lot of people do that. Some people do it by titles. I have a friend that also does it by color.
Yeah, color is just, I mean, it works, especially if you got books that are all different sizes and shit like that. It's just easier.
It's funny how our brains are so unique. And I'm like just doing the show and just like, oh wow, yeah, I did pick that because of that. Like, red is more attractive.
Yeah. Oh yeah. If I ever want to feel like, like a power go-to color, I will wear red. Yeah.
Red is more attractive.
Red stands out more. Like, it's totally different. It's I don't know.
The more I learned, the less you know about a person, the more attracted you are to them. Yeah, we did this segment where it was a speed date, and you go on a speed date, and then the Rebel Wilson, the celebrity, she went through and had to pick who it was, and it turned out to be like, oh, this is pretty accurate, But yeah, please watch Brain Games, hosted by Keegan Michael Key.
When is that going to come?
It's be out in December.
Oh, awesome! Yeah, that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, hopefully they get a season 2.
Keegan's super nice. I met him in Chicago a few years ago when they were doing like a fest. I think it was like when they were coming into their second season of Key and Peele or something. Yeah. Yeah,
super nice guy. One of the nicest guys that I've ever met. And I was working as a stand-in, and it was pretty cool to do that because like I got to do a lot of the stuff, and then he was gone for a bit of it. So I because he had to do Toy Story stuff, and I was able to like do it and like host the show, and it felt good to be around, and just like it was a good practice, and it was a great practice to just watch him interact.
Yeah,
he's a professional. Like he's cool. He walks in, introduces himself to everybody on the crew. Make sure he knows everyone's name. And a lot of times celebrities, they're not like that.
I will never forget because I did improv and sketch in Chicago, and I took like a little break. And during this break, I photographed the Chicago Improv Fest, and he and Jordan were doing this thing for it. So I photographed them. I took a picture of them, and the producer, afterwards, we just started talking about comedy. He's like, "Sounds like you really miss it. You should do." He literally told me you should do it again. And then I started doing improv again after that. We had like a 20, 30 minute, we had a conversation, and he was at a level that was like way beyond where I was. No, he was so nice about it. People don't realize that really does matter when you take a second. And that's also why I never ask for anybody's photos if it's somebody, I'll never do that. That's an annoying thing.
I don't do it in either of, in this case, if you're working with someone. We had a Detroit connection because we're both from Detroit, and I used to watch him in high school and at Second City. And so, I was talking to him about some stuff, and we bonded over Detroit and Lions, and And I would wear my Lion stuff, and people are like, "Oh, you're sucking up to him." I'm like, "No, I'm from Detroit. Like, I wear Lion stuff. No, who pretends to be a Detroit Lions fan? Like, no, they suck." But I remember, like, we were rapping, and he's like, "Yeah, man, good job, man. Like, let's do this again." Yeah, and I was like, "Hey, do you mind if I take a picture?" And he goes, "Yeah, man, get the fuck out of my face." Then he walked away, and he goes, no, man, yeah, come on. He was so cool, and Jordan actually came for an episode.
That's awesome.
And they were just like fell right back into place, and afterwards, everyone's like, "Oh my god, they're so funny," whatever. He goes, "Yeah, everyone's also acting surprised that we're funny." He goes, "We've been working for each other for like 15 years. What the fuck do you think was going to happen?" Like,
exactly.
But yeah, it was cool. It was a really good experience. It kind of fell into my lap. How a lot of things happen in LA where they just fall into your lap, where I wasn't even supposed to do that, but next man up.
That works.
The guy, the guy that's supposed to be his guy couldn't read a teleprompter, and they fired him, and they brought in another guy.
You gotta remember that even when you get a job, you can get fired.
Yeah. They brought in another guy. He couldn't do it, and then the producers, one guy I know, he was like, "Yeah, I think Mateen could do it." And now they were like, "Can you do it?" I'm like, "Yeah, I can do it." Yeah. So it was good. It was a good experience.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, as we're running down the podcast, I know we talked about sleep a little bit, but I always ask people, what are your dreams and goals for the future?
My goals for the future, I want to be able to live a comfortable living, be an entertainer. A lot of times people always want to be famous. I never wanted to be famous. I just want to be able to make a living doing this, a comfortable living, because you could do this, and you could still be a full-time comic and struggle. And I never wanted to be that. Cedric the Entertainer gave me some really good advice. Like when I first started, he goes, "Never worry about the fame, because you don't control that; the people do." And I was like, that is the realest shit ever.
That is.
You're like, yeah, and a lot of times we want to worry about that, but like, we don't control that. And the only thing I try to focus on is what I can focus on, and that's being funny. And yeah, my goal, as we were talking, is just to finish more things. Yeah. Yeah. That's my dream. Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for doing the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, we always end by saying good night. So good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thanks for listening to Sleeping with Sarah, where I slept with Mateen Stewart. Don't forget to check out Mateen on Nat Geo's Brain Games and follow him on Instagram and Twitter at Mateen Stewart. If you like the podcast, please rate and review on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and Google Play. We're brought to you by Audible.com. Go to audibletrial.com/sleepingwithsarah. I'm releasing a new podcast each week, so please tune in to find out who I have in bed with me next. Thanks to Josh Bryant for the music, and if you want to find out more, please go to sarahallbritton.com and follow me on Twitter and Instagram at sarahallbritton. Until next time, good night.
Sleeping with Sarah.